Picture this. You're standing in the checkout line at Target. You walked in for shampoo, just shampoo. And somehow you're now holding a scented candle, a throw pillow, a protein bar you've never tried before, and a $14 notebook you absolutely don't need. Your total, $112. You hand over your card without flinching, because it's just $100. It's not a big purchase. It doesn't feel reckless. It doesn't feel like anything, actually. And that's exactly the problem. In 2206, 60% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense. Not because they don't earn enough, but because they've been systematically tricked into treating $100 like it's meaningless. This isn't a story about lattes. I don't care about your coffee. This is a story about something far more insidious, the psychological architecture that's been built with billions of dollars and decades of research, specifically to make you feel like every $100 you spend is inconsequential. Because if you don't see it, you can't stop it. And if you can't stop it, your wealth never gets built. The pivot and credibility gap. My name is Ava, and I've spent years watching people, brilliant, high-earning, hard-working people, hemorrhage money through purchases they can't explain and don't remember making. I've sat across from engineers pulling $180,000 a year who had $400 in savings. I've worked with marketing executives who felt poor, genuinely financially anxious, while depositing more in a single month than most people earn in a quarter. This is what I call being quietly broke, and it's an epidemic. Being quietly broke doesn't mean you're broke on paper. It means your income looks impressive, but your net worth is a rounding error, and every single $100 nothing purchase is why. If this information lands for you today, if even one thing I say makes you pause before your next purchase, do me one favor, hit the subscribe button, not because I'm asking for vanity metrics, because this channel exists to give you the unsexy, unglamorous, mathematically correct version of how money actually works. And you need every episode, the binary comparison, Emma vs. Diana. Let me introduce you to two women, same city, same age, 32, same job title, same salary, $95,000 a year. Their names are Emma and Diana. Emma's financial picture: Emma is smart, educated, and completely convinced that she's being responsible with money. She doesn't buy luxury cars. She doesn't take extravagant vacations. She has a normal apartment, normal clothes, normal habits. But here's what Emma's week actually looks like. Monday, $9.99 app subscription she forgot she signed up for. Tuesday, $34 lunch with a coworker because she deserved it. Wednesday, $67 on an Amazon order. Skincare, mostly, plus something for her desk. $22 for same-day delivery because she didn't plan ahead. Friday, $85 at the wine bar because it was a long week. Saturday, $112 at Target. She went in for shampoo. $19 on a meditation app she'll use twice. Emma's total nothing purchases for the week. $349. Annualized, $18,148. She's not buying a boat. She's not going to Maldives. She's just living normally. She has $3,200 in savings. She's 32. Diana's financial picture. Diana earns the same $95,000. Lives in the same city. But Diana runs what I call a wealth engine, a set of 5 specific decisions that make her financial life function on an entirely different operating system. Decision 1. Diana automated 20% of every paycheck directly to investments before it hit her checking account. Decision 2. Diana canceled 11 subscriptions she audited last year, saving $247/month. Decision 3. Diana implemented a 72-hour rule on any non-essential purchase over $30. Decision 4. Diana treats $100 not as $100, but as its 15-year opportunity cost. Decision 5. Diana stopped performing wealth and started building it. Diana's net worth at 32, $87,000 and climbing. Emma's $3,200 and stagnant. Same income, same city, same age, $83,800 gap. The difference isn't luck. It isn't inheritance. It isn't a side hustle or a windfall or a stock tip. It is 5 decisions applied consistently over 4 years. The reframing/unsexy math core. The $100 illusion. What you're actually spending. Let me show you the math that most financial content is too boring or too afraid to actually do. You spend $100 today on something forgettable. A decent dinner. A random Amazon order. An impulse buy you rationalized for 30 seconds. It feels like $100. It registers as $100. Your brain processes it as $100. but that's the illusion. In 22.6, the S&P 500's long-term historical average return is approximately 10% annually. If you invested that $100 instead of spending it, here's what compound interest, specifically the 8-4-3 rule of backloaded growth, does to it. $100 invested today, $259 in 10 years, $100 invested today, $672 in 20 years, $100 invested today, $1,745 in 30 years. Now let's talk about the real number. Because Emma isn't spending $100 once, she's spending $349 a week on nothing purchases. That's $18,148 a year, invested at 10% for 30 years, equals $3,355,000. Read that again, $3,355,000. That is not the cost of a luxury vacation or a yacht. That is the annualized cost of feeling like $100 is nothing. That's what lifestyle creep on steroids actually costs. Not in vibes, but in compound interest you never collected. The opportunity cost calculation in action. Let's take one specific example from Emma's week. The $112 target run isn't $112. It's $112 today equals $291. In 10 years, $112 today equals $753 in 20 years. $112 today equals $1,955 in 30 years. Emma makes that run twice a month, every month. For years, $224/month in target impulse spending equals $504,000 in forgone wealth over 30 years. That's not dramatic math. That's not financial fear-mongering. That is arithmetic. The silent heist isn't happening at some big dramatic moment. It's happening $2 or $3 at a time, $100 at a time, in the ordinary moments that your brain has been conditioned to treat as free. The 8-4-3 rule, why waiting costs you everything. The reason the opportunity cost numbers feel unreal is that most people don't understand how backloaded compound growth actually works. In the first 8 years of investing, your money grows modestly. You put in $500 a month and you watch it inch forward. It feels slow. It feels boring. You feel like nothing is happening. In the next 4 years, your money doubles what it took 8 years to build. In the 3 years after that, it doubles again. This is the 8-4-3 rule. The wealth is backloaded. It's patient. And every $100 you spend today is a $100 that never gets to participate in the back half of the curve, where all the real money lives. This is why starting matters more than amount. This is why the 32-year-old who invests $300 a month will, in most scenarios, dramatically outperform the 42-year-old who invests $800 a month. Time in the market is the actual product you're buying, and every $100 impulse purchase is a little bit of time you sold for a scented candle. The step-by-step algorithm. All right, you understand the math, you understand the psychology. Now let's build your wealth engine, the actual boring 4-step system that Diana uses and Emma doesn't. Step 1, build your liquidity layer. Emergency fund first. Liquidity is oxygen. You cannot build wealth if you're constantly raiding savings for emergencies. Your first job is to create a $1,000 to $3,000 firewall in a dedicated account that you do not touch for anything that is not a genuine emergency. This is not an investment. This is not where you earn money. This is the buffer that stops lifestyle debt, the kind of debt that gets created when something breaks and your checking account is at $40. A high-yield savings account, HISA, is your home base. In 2026, rates are still meaningfully above pre-pandemic levels. Your emergency fund should not sit in a checking account earning nothing. Every dollar in a HISA earning 4.5% that isn't doing so is costing you money. Step 2, install friction between you and your money. This is the single highest ROI change you can make to your spending behavior. Friction is the intentional delay you insert between impulse and purchase. Here's how to implement it. 1, remove all saved payment information from every retail website and app. Yes, all of it. Amazon one-click, Apple Pay autofill, your credit card saved in Target's app. Gone. 2, implement the 7-2-hour rule. Any non-essential purchase over $30 goes on a list for 72 hours. If you still want it after 3 days and you can pay cash for it, you can buy it. Set a transaction alert on your bank account for every purchase over $25. Seeing every charge in real time rewires how visible your spending actually is. 4, audit your subscriptions every 90 days using a tool or a manual review. The average American has 12 active subscriptions. Most people can name 5. The other 7 are the silent heist. Friction isn't about deprivation, it's about inserting your rational brain back into a process that your impulsive brain has been running unchecked. The goal isn't to stop spending money, it's to spend it on things you actually decided to spend it on. Step 3, automate before you can spend it. The most effective wealth-building strategy isn't discipline, it's removal of choice. Before your paycheck hits your checking account, automate the following. 15 to 20% of gross income directly into a 401(k) or IRA, index funds only, no actively managed funds. 10% into a HISA for your emergency fund until it hits your target. Whatever remains is your spendable money, and it includes your bills. When your wealth-building contributions are automated and happen before you see the money, you stop making a decision every month about whether to invest. You just spend what's left. Diana earns $95,000 and lives comfortably on $68,000. Emma earns $95,000 and feels broke on $95,000. Step 4, learn to see $100 as $1,745. You have to retrain your brain to price purchases in their 30-year opportunity cost, not their face value. Before any non-essential purchase, run the math. 5, what is the face value of this purchase? 6, what is this money worth in 30 years at 10% compounded annually? 7, would I trade $1,745 or $3,000 for this right now? Sometimes the answer is yes. A meaningful experience with your family, a tool that genuinely improves your productivity, a medical expense, these are worth their opportunity cost. But a scented candle, a third streaming service, the algorithm recommended impulse purchase that showed up in your feed at 11 p.m., probably not worth $1,745. And once you see it that way, you cannot unsee it. The choice is yours. Here's where I land every time I have this conversation with someone. The $100 spending illusion isn't a moral failing. You're not weak. You're not undisciplined. You're not bad with money because you grabbed that throw pillow at Target. You're human, and you're living inside a system that spent billions of dollars engineering that exact purchase. But here's what I know after 17 years in this industry. Understanding the system is the first step. Dismantling it, in your own financial life, is the only step that matters. Emma and Diana don't have different salaries. They don't have different intelligence. They have different systems. And systems are learnable. Systems are yours if you decide to build them. The choice is entirely yours, and you're making it right now. Every $100 you spend today without thinking is a decision. Every $100 you redirect toward your wealth engine is also a decision. You're always choosing. The only question is whether you're choosing consciously. The people who end up with freedom, real, boring, compound interest-built financial freedom, weren't smarter than you. They weren't luckier than you. They just stopped treating $100 like it was nothing. Because $100 is never just $100. It's the first brick in the wall. Or it's the 100th brick that never got laid. Your future self is sitting somewhere 30 years from now. What they have or don't have is being decided by what you do with the next $100. Make it count. Your future self will thank you.